A few days ago, we started our $1,000 buy-in journey in Underdog's Mastiff tournament. $20,000 for the winner, 6 out of 12 advance out of the first round. We got a little wild with it. What are we going to do today? Well, get past this intro and find out.
Three, two, one, liftoff.
What's up, everybody? I am your host, Rob Coakley, and I entered this $1,000 Mastiff, and I'm bringing you all along on the ride. And we got a little wild in the first round. We, of course, drew the 112. We are not allowed to have a top 2 pick on stream at Spike Week. It is just not a thing that happens. So we got the 112, which I'm kind of okay with. I do like the turn pick if we're going to get stuck in this back end. So what did we do? We took Tony Pollard and Patrick Mahomes with our first 2 picks, as you can see. And obviously a little bit different. There are some players there that we would have loved to have. We love Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nick Chubb. Would have been great to have like Pollard, Chubb. Well, we need to remember for this tournament, and that's something we really need to remember when we start talking about what to do with our next 2 picks, is 6 out of 12 advance in this. So this isn't Best Ball Mania where there's 2 out of 12. 6 out of 12 advanced out of the first round. In fact, the first 3 rounds, the top 50% of each bracket advance. 3 out of 6, 2 out of 4. Then there's a 30-person final. What is our best way to get through? What is our best team to advance to actually win the tournament? That's what we're going to be looking at here. And I'm going to be honest, I've been thinking about these 2 picks all day. That's why you see 2 hours left on the clock right now. I didn't really know where I wanted to go with this. But before we do that, let's kind of look at the board and see if anything crazy happened, anything out of the blue that we weren't expecting. We do see Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen fall to the beginning of the 3rd round. Christian McCaffrey goes, he takes Devonta Smith, and then he gets Jalen Hurts for the Jalen Hurts, Devonta stack. The Tyreek Hill drafter from the 4 hole goes Derrick Henry, then Josh Allen, kind of setting himself up with an elite out of each of those top 3 positions. The 101 goes Justin Jefferson, Ramondre, and T. Higgins, which is, I think, a relatively standard start for that one spot. Cooper Kupp gets correlation, gets Saquon Barkley, comes back with DK Metcalf. The Travis Kelce drafter ends up going with Jalen Waddle and Calvin Ridley. Obviously, Mahomes isn't on the board because we took him. Eckler goes, the 7 hole goes Eckler with Olave and Jerry Jeudy. 8 hole goes Diggs, Devontae Adams, and Mark Andrews. The 9 hole goes Bijan with Garrett Wilson and Amari Cooper for some week 17 correlation. That correlation continues on to the 10th pick, which is CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Jahmyr Gibbs, getting 2 Detroit guys with CeeDee Lamb. A.J. Brown, Nick Chubb, Keenan Allen. So no correlation there. Obviously, we have no correlation. We have Tony Pollard. We have Patrick Mahomes. And now we got to figure out what we're going to do. So nothing super crazy. We see correlation happening. We didn't see anyone like really reach for a pick. If anyone reached for any pick, it was me going Pollard Mahomes here. We went the most wild out of everybody. Let's take a look at what's on the board here. So we're picking from the 36th spot. And as we look at the board, we see that Debo is still on board, a little past his ADP. We did see Cooper and Keenan Allen get picked before Debo. We also see Breece Hall's here. Shockingly, Lamar's here too. So we're seeing that quarterbacks do get pushed down a little bit in these high stakes. So Lamar is going to be a 4th round pick in this tournament, unless I decide to get real wild between now and this next pick that I'm about to make. But what makes the most sense for our team based on what advances is what we have to figure out here. So I've been kind of agonizing over a few different things. Did we want to go correlation here, right? Did we want to make sure that we grabbed another running back? Would we want to grab Joe Mixon to correlate with Patrick Mahomes? That's something that we could consider here. I'm going to get this out of the way right now. Everything I thought about today, Debo is a lock right now. we're going to grab Debo. I just, upside wise, you know, if you hear us all talk, a lot of people think that this wide receiver range is kind of flat. I do value Terry McLaurin and Drake London a little bit over some of these other guys, but it's like real thin on how much I value them over them. So I do like McLaurin here. I do like Drake London, but I do think Debo stands above everybody else that's left. So I think Debo is kind of a rock solid pick here. For this specific tournament, especially, we're going to be grabbing Debo Samuel. So the question becomes, what do we do with this second pick? Remember, we're advancing 6 out of 12. We're not advancing 2 out of 12. So in this format, what makes the most sense? And again, do we want to go running back? Do we want to go Breece Hall? Breece Hall in the 4th round in this format feels real good. Joe Mixon is the correlation with Mahomes if we wanted to do that, right? Those are the two things we could be looking at there. The other thing is do we want to get behind at wide receiver? Like, if we're grabbing Debo, great, we have one, but now we're going to have to make up for it with volume throughout the rest of the draft with wide receiver. And are we going to be able to do that? We'll see. We could see what falls to us coming around. So Drake London, Terry McLaurin, you know, even if you wanted to go Mike Williams, DJ Moore, pair any of these guys with Debo Samuel gives you at least a competent set of 2 wide receivers. The 2 that I have been agonizing over, we'll break it down to the 2v2, which is actually a 1v1 that I've been thinking about for literally the past 4 hours, is do I want to go Debo with Terry McLaurin? Right. I like McLaurin better than a lot of these wide receivers already. Debo with McLaurin is that correlation. So for a wide receiver that I already have slightly notched above the rest of them, he gets that little extra boost because there is that week 17 correlation. Does it matter right now? Yeah, a little, not much, I don't think. But again, if I want to go wide receiver, I think Debo, Terry McLaurin make the most sense out of what's left on the board here. The other one, and if you look at the thumbnail, is Breece Hall. Breece Hall in the 4th round of a 6 out of 12 advancement structure. It's very hard to say no to that. We pair him with Tony Pollard. We have the 1-2 punch of Pollard and Breece Hall, 2 guys that could be overall number 1 RBs. Now, of course, we're worried about Breece in the very early going, but I'm really not that worried. If the Jets were overly worried about Breece Hall, I don't think Dalvin Cook leaves New York. I think they were looking at Dalvin Cook at this point as a bit of a luxury. And if they could get that luxury cheap, they were going to do it just for that insurance. But I think that they're fine with going into the season with what they have. So I'm concerned about like the first couple weeks production, but I think we're going to have a rock solid Breece Hall here going forward. Again, I've already said this twice, but the advancement structure is 6 out of 12. Half point PPR. Debo's real nice. We're going to grab Debo. Do we grab Breece Hall? Do we grab Terry McLaurin? I think based on the way these tournaments are going, well, this particular tournament is going, I think we can make up for grabbing Breece Hall here. I think we can grab wide receivers later that we can sprinkle in throughout the draft, get volume. I think having Pollard, Breece Hall leaves us an out to drafting one less running back than we normally would. Now, we'll see what the draft what happens with the draft. We could still end up with 6 running backs with Breece Hall and Tony Pollard based on if we decide to punt completely for, 10, 11, 12 rounds or whatever. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I'm not sure how this draft's going to fall out. But I think that the smartest way to play for this tournament right now, and if Breece Hall starts getting camp reports too, right, he's going to start shooting up the boards in the next few weeks. We might want to take advantage of this like little dip that we're getting on Breece Hall, especially in a tournament like this where he was probably getting drafted in the 3rd round. And we can get this Debo Breece Hall pairing, which was probably not common before us in this tournament. Remember, there's not many of these drafts that happen. And then there's a chance that it's even less common going forward. So I think that what we're going to do, in fact, I know what we're going to do is we're going to click the button on Debo. We're going to click the button on Breece Hall. And that is going to be our first 4 rounds of the Mastiff, where our team currently is Patrick Mahomes, Tony Pollard, Breece Hall, Debo Samuel. Now, is it our standard construction? No, we don't usually go 2 RBs here. But just based on the way that, like I said, the way this tournament is structured, it definitely feels like the way that we should be playing it. I like this start. I like having Pollard and Breece Hall in the backfield. I think that feels really, really good. We have the best quarterback in the league with Patrick Mahomes. Debo is an elite wide receiver. I know his profile can be scary sometimes, but I do think he is still a tier above what was left. So that's what we got. Mahomes, Pollard, Hall, Debo Samuel. We will probably be back in a few days. Again, it seems like it's going to be about 2 to 3 days on these as we draft the $1,000 buy-in for $20K up top, Mastiff on Underdog Fantasy. Let's go. Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.